Welcome to another episode of Dead with My Friends podcast. I'm Nick.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Steve.
So, happy December, Steven.
Yeah, we are here. The holidays are here. Everything is Christmassy. A lot of people think I hate Christmas, but, once it's December, I'm all about celebrating.
Well, you hate Christmas in October.
Oh, 100%.
And you hate Christmas in November.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like, can we just get through one holiday at a time? But, we're here now. Like, upon recording, it is December 3rd. It's the start of the season, and we are starting this season off really strong with Bob Clark's classic Black Christmas 1974 and the 2006 remake Black Xmas.
So, last time we recorded, it was November, we did Madman, and you and I have talked since.
Yeah.
But, you hit me up, and you were like, hey, man, I can't wait to hop on the episode with you because I got a lot that I want to talk to you about, and you've been holding out on me.
Yeah.
So you went to the All Out War show, yeah?
I did.
Black Friday?
Yeah, Black Friday, All Out War played at a bowling alley in Middletown.
Nice.
It was for the Rock Fantasy 37th year anniversary. And Hudson Valley showed up, man. Like, it turned out to be a great show. A lot of people came through. And it was kind of like Hudson Valley, like, hardcore scene was split because I guess the same night, Age of Apocalypse was playing a bar in Uptown Kingston. Oh. So it was like half the scene was there. Yeah. And then, like, the other half was, like, there for All Out War.
Oh, shit.
But, so it was me, Joe, and John. We pull up to the venue. And there's nowhere to park. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are these cops blocking off the main street and everything? Like, why is it so crowded? So then we see some dude, like, dressed as Santa on a float. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I think there's, like, a holiday parade about to happen. So we find some parking. And we're chilling, we're vibing because we're there in, like, an hour early. We're just listening to some fucking bands, getting hyped for the show. And the parade starts, and Joe just, like, rolls down the window, and he's like, I gotta fucking go out there and watch this.
Oh, he was, like, in the holiday spirit?
Oh, dude, he was, the minute he heard the marching band, he was like, yo, this is my shit right here. Go. Yeah, he was like, I gotta go. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I guess we're gonna go watch.
What a little kid at heart.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Fucking great guy. So, we go out there, we're just watching this random-ass fucking Christmas parade, and then it's time to go into the show. And the first band was this Middletown death metal band called Necroptic Engorgement. They've been around for a minute. I think they deserve way more recognition because they're fucking solid. I was, like, two-stepping for them.
Oh, yeah?
And then some band called Winter Nights played. They were okay. They were from the city, though, so that was cool that they came up. But then this old school death metal band called Morpheus Descends started playing, and Joe just opens the pit up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, I want to mosh. So he opens the pit up.
Joe had a good night, huh?
Oh, dude, it gets better because, like, Morpheus Descends playing, Joe's pitting hard, and John's pitting a bit too, and there's some drunk old dude in the pit with a Green Bay Packers hat, missing some fucking teeth, drunk, beer can in hand, and I don't know, he just, like, takes to Joe, right? And they're just vibing in the pit.
Good reasons or bad reasons? He took him as like a partner in the pit partner?
Maybe, yeah, he was just vibing because he was like, fuck yeah, like, this dude was drunk as shit. He was, like, probably 52 or something. I think that's what he said. I think he said it was 52. But, dude, they just, like, hook elbows.
Oh.
And they just start, like, like Chuck and Steve in fucking The Haunted Mask when they're, like, doing that dance in the fucking graveyard.
Yeah.
That was them in the pit. No bullshit.
Like do-si doing or something.
Yeah, and fucking John and I were just losing it because this dude is plastered. And he's trying to hype me up. He's like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, just in my face. I'm kind of, like, no-selling it because, like, I'm vibing, but I'm like, dude, get the fuck, like, you're like, nah, back up a bit, man. Like, like, I smell your beer breath. I'm just like, back it the fuck up.
Smell the beer breath, smell the Newports.
Yeah. So then All Out War comes on. And then the floor really opens up. You could just, like, there was some pitters there from from the Poughkeepsie area that I've seen at plenty of shows throwing down. Like they showed up. There was some dude like throwing like these crazy ninja kicks and like a mad ball windbreaker.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
he was like, yo, kickboxing, like Jay says from Mind
Vans?
Force. Yeah, he was wearing Vans slip-ons.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And he was throwing like the high Jean-Claude Van Damme kicks. And
skinny jeans?
Dickies.
Man, that's a mosher, man.
Oh, dude, he was
Dickies,
fucking throwing them, brother.
and or skinny jeans.
Yeah.
A windbreaker.
Yep, mad ball windbreaker.
And what was he wearing on his head?
You know those like taxi driver cap thingies?
No.
I can't
I'm sure if I
like
saw
those the ones that like beer schnobs like fucking wear.
Oh yeah,
like those that I gotta have an IPA.
newsboy
like,
hats.
Yeah, something like that.
I got a
He had,
couple
like,
of them. I want to get rid of them, so I'll give them to you.
No, I don't fucking want them. So you know the pit's breaking out, and there's this kid, right? Probably like my height, because I'm only 5'4", and he's slam dancing, and he slams into Joe. And Joe just takes him, and keep in mind, like, Joe's, like, a big dude. He's fucking jacked.
Yeah.
He just takes this kid and just fucking chucks him.
Oh, man.
And just sends him, bro.
Really?
Dude, the kid went flying. And then he kind of felt bad, so he, like, picked him up in good nature. But, yeah, man, All Out War was fucking...
Just let the music take control of him for a little bit,
Dude, he was
man,
like,
so...
I want a pit, man. I'm getting back. I guess he came out of Moss retirement, because he was throwing down.
Bro, 2022 going into 2023, man, I know a lot of people who are coming out of Moss retirement. I might be one.
Yeah, you might be one. You know me, dude. I'm always down for a good two-step. You know.
I might go back in and like two-step and shit. But like as far as like throwing legs and throwing arms goes, man, I just like I don't fucking think I have it in me anymore. So in January, I finally found out the Roanoke show.
Mm-hmm.
So our best friend Josh, you know, and all our other best friends, they're in a band called Roanoke, and they're fucking sick. So January, they're playing down at Olives in Nyack.
Okay, Ye Old Stomping Grounds.
Ye Old Stomping Grounds, yeah. And it actually turns out that it's the same night as Mikey's birthday.
Oh, so and that's kind of my birthday weekend because Mikey's on the 7th, mine is on the 9th. Yeah. So this is gonna be looking like an all-out event.
It's gonna be a fun night, dude. Like I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'll be down.
Know, the boys are playing again, man. I mean, I'm not on stage anymore, but I'm glad to see Josh up there, dude. I really am.
He's really coming to his own.
Dude, I was with them the other night, and they were practicing, and bro, they were fucking tight. Josh sounded fucking great. Dean sounded great vocally, bro. Like they sound awesome.
Yeah.
So you know,
and we all know Big Tone be shredding.
Oh, Big Tone.
And Brendan's never lost it.
Oh no.
And you know, Mikey.
Nah, Brendan's always got
one of the best drummers we know.
Yeah, 100%, man.
I'm gonna try to get Old Man Dan down.
Oh, Dan.
That would be like the cherry on top.
Anybody who is, you know, in the Hudson Valley area, tri-state area, January 7th. Roanoke will be playing Olives in Nyack, New York. For any more information, just like look up Roanoke, New York.
Yeah,
if you guys are
right
interested,
on Instagram.
Give them a listen, man.
Right on Spotify too.
Yeah, their fucking jams are sick, and they're great dudes.
Real quick, just circling back to the All Out War show.
Yeah,
there was one more thing I left out.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was like just so out of pocket and random.
I like out of pocket.
Oh, it's so... Alright, so you know like my step family when I moved up here, like Reg, Anthony, Decio, Eric, all them. So during one of the... I think it was either Morpheus Descends or Winter Nights. I think it was Winter Nights. I just see this little kid like up in the front like headbanging and pretending to play on their guitar. I'm like, that kid looks really familiar. It's fucking Reggiana's daughter.
Really?
And, yo, Aunt G was there. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I waited for their set to end. And I'm like, yo, Aunt G, like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, oh, we come to the shows at Quinpins, like, every, like, weekend.
That's fucking weird.
Dude, that's just cool, Reg's daughter just fucking banging her head, dude, on a fucking guitar, pretending to play. This fucking 5-year-old, dude.
That's
she was
so cool.
They gave her, like, the set list, and, like, even Steve, who hosted the event and owns Rock Fantasy, was like, yo, this kid's here for, like, every show, like, always shows up. So that was, like, random as fuck, because I'm like, is that my step aunt?
Yeah, that's super
and it was
random, bro.
And then I told her, though, I said, listen, the last band, get the fuck out of here. I said, it's gonna get violent. And it sure enough did, because some dude got his grill busted open, and...
I love it. Were people bowling, like, while the show was
going
on?
Okay, so, actually, I'm happy you brought that up, because... So, we went in through the side entrance. We never been there.
Right.
And, there's a whole bowling league just happening.
Of just like
people
fucking
people bowling and in the league, right? So we come through this side door and we're just getting like these stares, like what the fuck? And we're like, hey, what's up? We're here for the All Out War show. And they're like, I think it's that way. So we're cutting through. Idea. Yeah, we're cutting through all these people like bowling, you know.
They didn't know that there was a show going on.
They had no clue, and then like what they heard, like they were probably like, "What the fuck?"
They're a bowling league. Like, wouldn't like management be like, "Hey, just a heads up, like next Friday."
I don't know.
It's gonna be something going on.
Yeah, but when the show is done, people are just like, "The fuck?"
You know what, man? Yeah. All Out War probably left with some new fans after that night.
Probably they broke the PA system.
Really? Was it smoking?
Not like it wasn't smoking, but it was like crackling. Like they were just playing so loud and hard, man. Oh, they went so hard. So it was a good night.
Good, man. I'm glad you had a good time, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's move into these movies, man. So which do you want to start with? Do you want to start with 74 or do you want to start with 2006?
I have so much more to say about Bob Clark's 74. So if it's cool with you, man, I'd like to talk about the 2006 remake.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I was going to say 2006 at the end, but I don't know. I feel like I had a lot more to say about 2006 than I did the Bob Clark one, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, fuck yeah. Let's start with.
I just feel like the Bob Clark one's such a classic.
It is.
Save the best for last.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, let's save the best for last, man. So all right, man.
So a little plot breakdown.
Yeah, man. So give us the synopsis on it.
All right. So Black Christmas 2006 tells the story of a group of sorority sisters who just a few days before Christmas are snowed in, and there is a killer or killers loose in the house, taking them out one by one. That's essentially what it is, you know. I mean, they're getting ready for Christmas break and they're exchanging gifts. They're, you know, ready to say their goodbyes. Some have already left, and there's like, you know, half the house that's still there who plan on leaving, but a bad winter storm blows in, and you know, they're kind of just stuck there. And they're getting these obscene phone calls, which have been happening for a bit, so they're like kind of not as shocked. But just one by one, kind of like the original, like the sorority sisters start getting picked off, and you know, it was a very like of the times thing with the casting, I think, for the sorority sisters, because like you've got the actress that plays as Ramona Flowers in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Like she's in it. One of the girls from Mean Girls is in it.
Wasn't the final girl? Was she in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? The blonde girl.
I think so.
I think she was. Right.
I think she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very similar to the original.
But also
very different.
Yeah. So the man who directed Black Christmas 2006, his name is Glen Morgan.
Okay.
Right?
That's his name.
So Glen Morgan, ironically enough, was an actor. I believe it was only one movie that he was in, and he played Roger, right?
Yep, Roger Trick or Treat.
In Trick or Treat, which is one of our favorite movies.
For sure.
So just that alone, like him directing this movie was just like, I was like, this is fucking awesome. But he also directed Willard. Do you remember that remake with Crispin Glover?
Oh, yeah. Really? He directed that too?
Remake.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Yep. So he directed that. So the thing about Black Christmas 2006, or Black Xmas as you like to call it.
Yeah.
So the thing about Black Xmas, I can't fucking say it. It doesn't feel right to me.
It's okay. You don't have to say it, man.
So the thing about Black Christmas is that Glen Morgan, man, had a lot riding on this movie, on it being a success, because he had directed Willard. That movie was a flop.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I thought it was a really good movie.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I liked it, but commercially it was a flop. And he was like, if Black Christmas is a flop, this is going to be the end of my directing career. And unfortunately, the movie didn't do well. And I don't think he's directed anything since.
Well, not for nothing. They released it like the day of Christmas or something. Like, what they should have done is they should have released it earlier in December, or maybe like the weekend after Thanksgiving, or like the weekend of, you know, Black Friday, right?
Right.
That would have been a good. But I remember like the TV trailers, and it was like coming out like Christmas weekend. You know, the holiday is already like done at that point, and it was like, you know, Dimension Films, which fuck the Weinsteins, but Dimension was their like horror production company. Damn, dude, there was some good straight to DVD shit put out by Dimension. And like a lot of it was like, you remember the Dimension Extreme?
Of course.
Dude,
yeah.
There's some good shit.
Yeah, they tried some things with Dimension, man.
And I appreciated that. I mean, fuck them. Fuck the Weinsteins, but
there was a lot of there was a lot of push and pull though on set from what I was reading and what I remember from.
Seems to always be the case.
I mean, Harvey Weinstein, you know, and Bob Weinstein, the Weinstein brothers, they wanted more gore in the movie. More gore. And Glen Morgan didn't want it. He was like, I mean, it ends up getting away from you at some point when, you know, there's so many cooks in the kitchen at that point, you know?
Well, that was the issue at Halloween 6, remember?
Yeah.
You know?
It's too many fucking hands in the pot, bro. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like the cannibalistic aspect of it with the cookies and shit like that.
I do love that
That
scene.
wasn't in the script.
Okay.
That came after.
I'm not gonna lie. So, real quick, dude. Like, there's two killers. There's Billy and there's Agnes, who are referenced in the first one when the killer is calling. You know, he's talking about Billy, Agnes. So they bring these characters to light. They give Billy this whole backstory, which is very similar to Michael Myers. I got a very, very similar parallels. Like, whereas Michael Myers is in Smith's Grove, Billy's at Clark Sanitarium.
Yeah,
Billy,
Bob Clark Sanitarium.
Yeah,
something like that.
And you know, there's these like flashbacks to like Billy, you know, him as a born, him growing up, his dad being murdered by the mom and her piece of shit boyfriend, and just locking Billy up in the attic.
Yeah, he had a horrible childhood, Billy.
Oh, so fucked up.
Billy Lenz.
His fucking mom fucking rapes him pretty much, you know?
No, doesn't pretty much.
No, she does. She rapes him. She rapes him. He impregnates his mom because the drunk husband just can't stay sober enough to, like, finish the job.
So she moseys on upstairs, you know, where Billy's in the attic, where he always is. And, you know, she seduces him and, you know, they end up having sex. And then lo and behold, 9 months later, she's pregnant, right?
With Agnes.
So this Agnes,
inbred, ugly ass fucking child.
But Agnes is actually Billy's sister, but she's also his fucking daughter.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
Yeah, which in the original I pointed out when we were watching last night that Billy or the killer keeps referencing something horrible that Billy has done to Agnes, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like they bring that into the light in this remake.
Yeah, you had picked up on that last night when we... Yeah, okay.
And we'll get more into that when we talk about Black Christmas. But it just... Everything that was spoken about over the phone in the original, I feel like it was brought to light in this remake, which is good and bad. Because here's the thing, man. It's like some aspects of Billy's backstory I do like him making his mom out of like Christmas cookies or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like
kills her.
Yeah. But I don't know, dude. Like, I think it's so much creepier to not have as much of a backstory.
Always is.
You know? And that's what made the first one so effective. And then also, this whole Agnes character. I fucking hate it. I hate that there's two killers. And I hate that it's mostly like Agnes. Because, like, if you think about it, like, Billy doesn't show up till like more than halfway through the movie.
Right.
It's mostly Agnes in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she kills Claire in the similar fashion to the original, but instead of, like, coming out of the closet with the bag over the head, Agnes is under the bed and then puts the bag over and stabs Claire with the pen through the eye, which we get tons and tons of eye gore.
Yeah.
As a Fulci fan, I'm about the eye gore, but it was a little too... It was overkill in this. Like, every kill was, like, an eye impalement. And I was just like...
Agnes lost her eye, though.
I mean, I get it, but I mean...
So Billy, like, ripped her eye out, you know.
And he ate it.
And he ate it when...
By the way, dude, that shot of... I will say, too, that shot of Billy, like, his face when it zooms in and, like, you see his face in the tree.
Yeah.
That's a cool
good
shot.
Scene. Yeah, I like that a lot.
She's my family now. You know?
Yeah. He's not my brother. He's my dad.
That fucking... That scene was cringe.
Here.
Yeah, looking like the biggest Amon Amarth fan ever.
That was a dude.
Yeah. Looking,
So Agnes was actually played by a guy named Dean Frizz, I believe. Dean Frizz. Dude, he was actually a camera operator on the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they just were like, hey, do you want to be in the movie? So
Bad choice.
So he was. I don't think so, man. I think
you like Agnes.
I like Agnes. Yeah, Agnes is brutal.
Can't agree.
I like Agnes.
It should have been all about Billy, man. It's like, okay, we finally get this backstory to Billy, which was so elusive in the original, and we know nothing about the killer. You know, whereas like, okay, now we have a backstory, but he doesn't even get like the main attention. Like, I mean, he does, but again, Agnes is doing a majority of the killing, and I can't vibe with it.
Do you think like somehow they plotted him and her? Because like you never.
Yeah, I think
how
so.
Like, think about that. Like, how did that whole thing had transpired? Because he was like, "I'm going to be home for Christmas" when he writes to the when he writes it to the guard.
Yeah,
right? Tells the guard he's like,
"Oh, that's a good scene too, man." Like, I like when he's sitting in the rocking chair sharpening his candy cane.
Yeah.
Anytime I have a candy cane like around the holidays, I would be sharpening it.
Try to do it.
Yeah. Always works, and I stab my tongue.
Yeah.
But again, that scene too, man. The Clark Sanitarium scene. Do you not get Halloween 4 vibes when they're picking up Michael?
Yeah.
You know?
Of course.
I definitely get those
There's
vibes.
always... And we can get more into this when we talk the original, but there's always this Halloween, Black Christmas referencing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But last night, I mean, we heard the interview with Bob Clark, and he talks about it. So, like, it came straight from the horse's mouth as to what he remembers between his conversations with John Carpenter and shit, which I'm excited to talk about. But yeah, man, so I mean, you are right. Agnes is doing majority of the kills, you know. I mean, she is doing all the kills.
Yeah. Minus there's like 2 or 3 kills that Billy does himself. Like, so the drunk character who's obviously trying to, like, they're paying homage to Margot Kidder's character. Mm-hmm. Like, they do the whole unicorn stabbing scene. Yeah. But actually, I think it's Agnes.
It's all Agnes.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay, so wait. I think Billy does kill Ramona Flowers' character in the car. And then, like, the house mother, who was played by the character Phyllis from the original, she gets taken out with the fucking icicle through the eye. Yes. That was cool.
Hell yeah.
Because, like, we've always been warned as kids, like, oh, watch out for icicles.
Dude, the movie had great gore. It had great kills.
It did. I just focused too heavy on the eyes, which I get. Again, Agnes lost her eye, but...
So that's why she was so like, fixed on it. And there's, like, even just, like, one picture that I've seen is, like, a screen grab, and it's, like, Agnes pulling out one of the eyes in the attic.
Yeah. Well, she had some of them hung up on her little Christmas tree.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there was a few like eye sockets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Yeah, she didn't have an eye. So, and then she gets poked in the eye. She gets stabbed in the eye at one point.
But it's the false eye.
And then it's the false eye, and she pulls it out, and it's just like that. Yeah. It was cool, man. I liked Agnes, man. I mean, I don't recall initially though, like how I felt about it. I had seen the remake before I had ever seen the original. To be honest,
I did too. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so, like, I remember the trailers on TV, and then, like, this was an FYE pickup with the grandfather back in the day.
Always.
Just blind by, I was like, oh, I remember seeing the trailers for this, so picked it up, and, you know, don't get me wrong, dude, and the core of this movie as a slasher film, it's great. It's just, you know, Black Christmas, the original, dude, it's just such a classic, and I appreciate the things that the director tried to do. Like, he obviously tried to pay homage with some, like, moments, whereas, like, you know, Claire, instead of Claire's father, like in the original, it's the sister that comes looking for Claire. Kyle, the boyfriend of our main one of the main sororities.
She's the final girl.
Yeah,
she's the final girl.
Okay, man. That's supposed to be like Peter, you know? There's a lot of parallels, but he does them in his own way, which is cool and all. It's just the whole Agnes concept. Just I just can't.
I think the whole Agnes thing is what
I hate to keep harping on it. But
no,
that's
it's not
like,
harping on it, but it's
my biggest complaint about it.
It's a real thing in the movie. You know, a lot of people I know say that same shit. They're like, we like the movie because, like, dude, like the cinematography, the set design, the color palette that they use, bro. It's like. Gives you that warm American Christmas vibe.
Yeah,
feel
dude.
To
no,
it,
the feel is good and it feels genuine.
The acting's really good, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the acting's good. I think the directing's good. Visually, it's great.
Yeah, there are some really cool shots.
The fucking gore I thought was awesome. The kills were awesome, but then it just comes to the aspect of the Billy and the Agnes thing. But I agree with you, though, about how, giving too much of an origin story to the killer, seeing him too much, like, you see him a lot. Yeah. Like, you see his whole fucking face.
Yeah.
When in the original, you only see him in reflections
or
shadows or
mostly the eyes
or
and shit.
Mostly POV.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect more in the original than I do in the 2006 version. But I'm not super opposed to the dual killers, the double killers, man. I kind of like it. It was an interesting twist that Agnes was one of the killers, but it made it even better that she was like this inbred serial killer, that was Billy's sister / daughter. Yeah. I don't know. It runs in the family, man.
I guess so.
It runs in the family, man.
And it is a fucked up family because, again, we get to see like what the whole household is like.
Yeah, the story of Black Christmas, this 2006 version takes place on one night.
Yep.
Aside from the original, which is over the course of a couple of nights.
Yeah, like 2.
Right? So this movie takes place one night, but aside from that, we have flashback scenes with Billy. We see him as a kid, we see him as an adolescent, and then we ultimately see him as an adult. But during that time, we see his mother, we see his father, right? Mm-hmm. His mother, she's a drunk, she's a smoker, she's a bitter, mean fucking woman.
Yeah. And
the dad is just, he seems like a very nice, very kind person, and she was just very mean to Billy. There was one instance where she tells him, she's like, Santa's not coming, he got shot down by the Russians. Mm-hmm. And Billy was born with like this rare liver disease, and it caused his skin to be like vibrant yellow and all this. And I'm surprised like you didn't dislike that part of it.
Yeah, I mean the whole jaundice thing, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, this is too much, because I'm just so against the Agnes aspect that I'm like too stuck on that to even really care about the Billy having jaundice shit.
I didn't get it at first because 2006, man, I don't even remember how old I was in 2006. How old were you in 2006?
I think I was like 12.
So I figure like 11, 12 years old in 2006. Yeah, I'd never heard of fucking jaundice in my life.
Yeah, I didn't. It didn't even faze me that he was like that.
Just like, rare liver disease. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But the one thing that I loved about it that knocked a couple points out of the original was the snowstorm. Because the original doesn't have the snowstorm. They're not snowed in.
Yeah.
It's just a horribly...
bitter cold.
Horribly fucking cold night.
Yeah. Which is typical in Canada,
Canadian
winters are fucking super brutal.
But I like how they threw the snowstorm aspect in the 2006 version.
Yeah, because they're trapped.
They're trapped. You feel that.
Yeah.
They're trapped in the house, man. Mm-hmm. And this fucking killer's on the loose.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, like there was a lot of things that the director paid homage to, but did in his own way. Again, Kyle being like Peter from the original, almost like the red herring to Claire's body still ends up in the attic with the bag over her head.
The iconic attic scene. Yeah. That was the first image that I had ever seen. I think it's everybody's first image
of the original.
Ever seen. Yeah, of the original.
It's an iconic fucking shot.
So,
and it's on the poster.
So spooky.
Yeah, it really is. And but instead of the house mother finding Claire like in the original, this time it's one of the sorority sisters, because remember the phone's like going off.
Yeah.
Claire's cell phone.
Yeah, and then
that's how. So instead of like in the original where it's like the caller's coming from inside the house, they look up the caller ID and they see that it's Claire's cell phone that's calling.
That's creative.
So, there is creative ways that the director does his own thing while still paying homage, and I do appreciate those. I really do. Like I said, overall, man, I do think this is a great slasher film. It's just Agnes, bro, and just a little bit too much backstory. I didn't need to know that much about Billy. I'm okay with seeing him. I'm okay with him escaping. If they would have just like said the story right in the beginning in Clark's sanitarium when the Santa's like, oh, isn't that Billy Lenz?
Yeah.
And they just like they go into the backstory of him like eating his mom, like turning her into the Christmas cookies, or like, the whole, I guess if you had the whole Agnes thing, You know, just shorten it up. We didn't need all of these continuous flashbacks.
Yeah. And I mean, what
that should have been right there in the sanitarium. Then boom, Billy escapes.
Yeah.
Almost like Halloween.
Well, what they did with this in this version was they gave you a backstory as to the house itself as well. Like the sorority house.
You are right. Yes.
Is Billy's.
It's Billy's house.
Home.
Yes, that's another thing.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's his childhood home.
Yeah.
And then in the original, they don't ever. It's just a sorority house.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's just a random person that shows up there.
And it's just a random fucking person.
And that, again, the parallels to Halloween. Like in Halloween 6, dude. The Strode family is living in the Myers house. And Myers comes back. And whoever he thinks is in his house is his family. Because when he calls, Billy does, he's like, you're my family now. Yeah. Like, you know, it's... all those parallels, man.
His family, so.
Yeah. Well, that's his way of showing love, man. Because that's all.
Yeah, it's the way his mother showed his love. So yeah, Billy kills his mother. Billy kills, dude. Hit the killing of his mother was intense, bro.
I loved it
with the fucking roller.
Mm-hmm. The fucking cookie pin roller. Yeah. Dude, he's just bashing her head in, then he takes like the fucking...
holy shit, man.
The cookie cutters and starts making little
man was winding up too, bro, for every fucking swing he had.
He had a lot of pent-up frustration being up there in that attic. Yeah. I love, like, before he calls her, she's like, she answers the phone, she's like, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Like, it's just all fucking aggressive and shit. And then he says the line because, like, when...
she's my family
Exactly,
now.
Because, like, the mom says that looking up the attic when Agnes is born. And I'm sure Billy, like, fucking could hear it, you know?
Yeah, but dude, the thing about that also, the scary thing about both of these movies is when the killer recites something back to them that they had said in private.
So it's just like, how do they know that?
Yeah.
That is a great aspect.
Agnes does that, which I think it's scary. It just always scares me personally to think about somebody watching me when I don't know that they're watching.
I just think it's a little bit more effective in the original.
Yes, they do a better job at
which
it
we'll
in the
brush up on. We'll talk more in detail.
Yeah.
When we get to the original.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, man, like, I see what you're saying as far as the Agnes goes. I definitely agree with you about too much backstory for Billy. They could have kind of tightened that up a little bit.
Yeah.
And kind of just given a little more to the theater of the mind in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of like let you formulate, because that's what they did perfectly in the original. You know,
they let you just your imagination.
And even Bob Clark does it. You know, like one of his rules during the filming was that he didn't want to make it too graphic. Yeah. That it was more of like off-camera violence. Mm-hmm. When in this one, it's not like that at all.
No,
it's like you literally see like Agnes digging into this fucking eye socket and pulling it out and then eating the eyeball. You know, and then him, you know, doing the Christmas cookies. Like...
or how about like when his stepdad, like he like impales him with the tree star or the tree topper, and like you see like the eye completely pop out from the back.
Yeah, a lot of eye, a lot.
Almost every kill is like literally
almost eye gore.
Yeah.
But I liked it, man. I genuinely enjoyed the kills, man. I gotta say though, man, I personally don't know why Glen Morgan had stopped making movies. Maybe it really did get to him. You know, maybe just this not being a huge success, but I would love for him to know that, like, man, you made a great movie, man.
No,
like,
there are fans out there.
He made a great movie. When I had seen it as a kid, I loved it.
No, same.
I was like, this is a really fucking scary movie. This is
and then
really,
I saw the original,
really
and then I was like, well, fuck.
And then I thought that my mind was gonna change.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't. Obviously, like, I have my favorite. Mm-hmm. You know, I just thought, hey, this is a good slasher, man. And it was like a pretty cool, it came out during a cool era of filmmaking as well. It's so cool, man, because like you had watched the DVD version of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
So I have just like a plain Jane fucking from 2006. I'm like talking about it like it's not, this is how I watched it. I watched it on the original DVD, which I bought in 2006.
Yeah.
So
same copy.
Yeah, same copy. But dude, it's so cool because DVDs, like these old DVDs, are like time capsules, man. Because like I was just sitting down watching it, and then the movie previews start, and I'm like,
and was it all? It's all for like other dimension releases coming out.
So
right?
the first trailer was for Grindhouse, Death Proof and Planet Terror. It was a great feeling, just like sitting down, throwing in this older copy. At the time when you're a kid, you're like, fuck this, I don't want to see these fucking trailers, you know? And you're like, skip. Or
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm not gonna lie, I skipped when I was watching it for the show. I skipped through.
It was even worse when it was when shit was on VHS because you'd have to fast forward through it, you know? So overall, for these two movies, they share the same name, a lot of similarities, lots of differences.
Yeah. I was telling you when I was doing my notes, I was like, I almost want to do a Venn diagram.
It would have been good to do. We could have just threw it up on here. We could have just...
Welcome to class.
Yeah. On this week's episode, we're talking Black Christmas 1974, and then we're talking Black Christmas 2006, or as Steven likes to say, Black Xmas, and it's just so awkward to fucking say. And then here in this circle is all the similarities, and then here are all the differences.
Yep.
And then here you go. We should have did it. I have a whiteboard. We could have did it.
Oh man, you would have fucking full gimmicked.
Yeah, that would have been good. But this is great in itself. But for me personally, man, it is a must watch for me every Christmas season. I love watching it when I'm fucking wrapping presents.
Okay.
For some reason,
I dig that. No man, I
don't know what it is. It's just like it's my attention's there, but
it's good background noise.
It's a good background, yeah, because then something catches your attention, and you're wrapping all these, and you're like, this fucking movie rules, man.
It kind of puts you in it because they're doing the whole gift exchange too.
Yeah,
with the sorority sisters.
But I love that about it, man. The feel of it was just it's really good, man. You know, I think despite what I've read as far as problems that Glen Morgan had during the filming, I think he made a really fucking good movie. And I love it. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about it.
No, man. I mean, why don't you put a rating on it?
You want me to put a rating on it? Dude, this one's gonna be a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
And I give it a 7 out of 10 because I seek it out every fucking year. It never leaves my mind. I'm like, I gotta watch Deadly Games.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
I gotta watch Deadly Games.
Yep.
I gotta watch, if we're on the topic of Christmas horror at least.
Yeah.
Deadly Games, which is like Home Alone on fucking steroids.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
Black Xmas, Black Christmas. And dude, one of my non-horrors, man, is The Night Before. You ever watch it?
Is that the one where it's like the babysitter?
No.
Or is that You Better Watch Out? I don't. No.
This one's a comedy. It's got Seth Rogen.
Oh wait,
Joseph
I have
Gordon-Levitt
seen.
in
Yeah,
it.
I've seen it. That's a good one.
Black Xmas was what the first movie that I watched going into December. But usually it's
The Night Before.
The Night Before is
Okay.
what I do to introduce myself into December. We got a show to film and shit to talk about. So, but yeah, dude, I give it a 7 out of 10, man. I love the movie. I really do. I seek it out every year. I mean, just the fact that like Glen Morgan, Roger, had directed it, I thought was like really cool. It brings me back to a good time when I watch it, you know? So yeah, I give that shit a 7 out of 10, man. Black Christmas 2006, I give a 7 out of 10. So Brother Bear, what do you give it?
I'm coming in with a 6 out of 10. I think it's a great slasher film in its core. I think there's a lot of good similarities that the director Glen Morgan tried, while still kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Respectfully. It's just a little too much Billy backstory, which takes the effectiveness away from how scary Billy can be. And Agnes, dude. Agnes's character and all that shit just really brings it down a lot. But I do enjoy throwing it on every Christmas. I mean, not every, but I will throw it in rotation when I can. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I ate the shit up. You know, like I was really into this.
Of course,
movie
you
when
eat
I was
up
younger.
all the content you can get your hands
exactly.
on.
Like anytime you get to watch a horror movie when you're younger, it's always like a treat.
But themed horror movies specifically were great.
Yeah,
you know, just even me.
Listen,
as a kid,
I think the atmosphere is good. I think the cinematography is good. Mm-hmm. A little too much Igor, personally.
Wow.
Which is crazy because I'm a Fulci fan. That's his go-to. But like when every kill is just Igor, it gets a little boring. You know, overall though, I do think it's a solid slasher film, and it is a fun watch. It's it's just I hate Agnes. Also, too, like we glossed over this. Like, there's a scene at the end where the final girl and Claire's sister are at the hospital, and you think the killers are dead, and they rise from the morgue bag. Claire's sister gets taken out by Agnes.
Yeah.
And then the final girl, she kills Agnes, but the way Billy gets killed, where he like gets thrown over the banister and gets impaled on the Christmas tree, and like Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies is playing from the Nutcracker. I like that. I do like that. Yeah. Yeah, I thought the way it like ended was solid.
Yeah, I like the ending as well. I didn't like. Actually, no, I take that back. I was gonna say I didn't like the whole between the walls Christmas tree thing.
Yeah. That I was
like, I wouldn't say that I necessarily loved it, but like looking back on it now, I think it's cool. I kind of like it. I fuck with it.
Yeah,
but I think the ending's cool. Yeah, Billy definitely getting impaled. Weren't like his intestines hanging out?
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
like wrapped around the Christmas tree. Yeah. So they did a good job with that. So you give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Solid, man.
Yeah. All right, you ready to move on to fucking Bob Clark's The Black Christmas Classic?
I'm ready to move on to the Christmas classic.
Oh man.
Known as Black Christmas or Silent Night, Evil Night or
Stranger in the House.
Or Stranger in the House. It had 3 different titles?
Yeah, 3 different titles. Which title do you like the most?
Silent Night, Evil Night.
I'm thinking that too,
100%.
man. As much as I identify it with Black Christmas, Silent Night, Evil Night is such a sick name.
I have an original one sheet of Black Christmas, but it's the Silent Night, Evil Night variation in the title. And like, I needed to fucking have that. I'm pretty sure that there's one sheets out there that are Black Christmas, but I don't know, man.
That was the original working title, I believe, Silent Night, Evil Night. So the fact that you have that one sheet makes it so much cooler.
Yeah, the poster's fucking awesome, man. It's my favorite poster. And I've gotten rid of probably 90% of all my posters in my collection, and that's just one I could never get rid of. So
I'm happy you still kept that one.
I wish I had a frame for it because I would have threw it up.
Oh yeah,
I'm not putting any tape on that motherfucker. So, but yeah, I wish I had a frame for it, man. Would have been fucking awesome to hang up. But yeah, dude. So throw us into this, man. Tell us a synopsis of this amazing fucking Christmas flick.
The synopsis it's pretty similar to the remake, but it's the sorority house of Pi Kappa Sigma.
Yeah.
They prepare for Christmas break, and a series of obscene phone calls are happening, and it just so happens that one of the sorority sisters is missing, Claire, and they're trying to find Claire, and there's someone in the house.
Yeah.
Which is based off of an urban legend, which would be referenced in Scariest Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones. And then they call back and reference Black Christmas. And they reference When a Stranger Calls in Scary Stories.
What came first?
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas came first?
When a Stranger Calls came out in 79.
I didn't know like the gap in time for either movie, but Black Christmas, man. So for anybody who doesn't know, Black Christmas is directed by Bob Clark. Not a lot of people are going to necessarily know who Bob Clark is, but you're going to know one of Bob Clark's most famous movies, which is another Christmas movie called
A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story. So Bob Clark made 2 incredible fucking Christmas movies were on total opposite ends of the spectrum. A Christmas Story is like the most wholesome family fucking Christmas movie. Everybody watches it every single year.
Yep.
And then you have Black Christmas, which is like they're just different.
They're so you said it best, dude, on 2 Christmas movies on complete opposite sides of the spectrum. One very wholesome, and one so fucking dark and unsettling. And it's just crazy that it's the same director because he got his start in horror.
Yeah. Like a lot of filmmakers.
He did Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. He did Deranged, which is like an Ed Gein story.
Yeah, I've never seen either one of those. I've never seen his early
highly
work.
Recommend both. Really good, like early 70s horror. And the dude that plays Ed Gein was like the South Street shoveler.
South Bend Shovel Slayer or whatever, right? Yeah.
But have you ever seen Death Dream, a.k.a. The Night Andy Came Home?
No.
Man, it's about this soldier who was killed in the war, and his parents get the notice, right? And they're distraught.
Mm-hmm.
The sister's distraught, the parents are distraught. Andy comes home.
Mm.
And they're like, "What? You died?" He's like, oh, it must have been a mistake. When he comes back, dude, he's like this undead, like savage killer, and it's a good movie. So
What year
I
is that
wanted
from
74. So it was around the same time for Black Christmas.
Same fucking year.
He must have shot this like right before. So yeah, you've got 4 great horror movies by Bob Clark, and then he would transition out and go on to do Porky's.
Yeah, he didn't want to do any more horror movies after Black Christmas. I was really excited to talk about this because, like, the word on the street is that John Carpenter had asked Bob Clark, you know, do you see yourself ever making a sequel to Black Christmas? And Bob Clark's like, no, you know, I did what I had to do in horror. I don't want to do that with my career anymore. You know, so the answer is no, like, I got nothing. And then John Carpenter had asked him, but if you would make one, if you were to make one, what would it be about? And Bob Clark says that he told him pretty much the entire story that later becomes Halloween.
Yep.
And he also tells him that he was going to... Bob Clark tells John Carpenter that he would also title the sequel to Black Christmas as Halloween, and it would take place in the fall. And it would revolve around Billy being captured at the end of the original Black Christmas, and then a whole, like, 6 months to a year later, I believe, he would escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he would go back to the sorority house, and...
It would just be set on Halloween. Yeah,
instead,
John Carpenter just kind of ran with that idea and kind of made it his own. And
then even
Halloween,
and then even Bob, he's like, I don't know if he's gonna remember this conversation that we had, because like if you own or have a copy of the Shout Factory Black Christmas, I would absolutely tell you to venture into the special features because the interviews are great. But yeah, that's what Bob Clark says. So
I believe him. I don't see why he would lie. He had no reason. He's a pretty renowned director.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, like I even like looked a little bit deeper into it, and John Carpenter even said he doesn't remember that, but he's like, if you want to say like whether or not there was any inspiration from it, he's like, I was definitely inspired by Black Christmas. That's the speculation.
Yeah. Where again, dude, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the initial slasher, and Halloween set the formula, but man, the POV shots and everything of the killer, that all came from Black Christmas.
The POV shot and all that, yes, Black Christmas did it right, but there's always that whole debacle of who did it first. Was it Black Christmas or Peeping Tom? And it was Peeping Tom, right? The 1960s version.
Yeah. Dude, Peeping Tom totally slips.
I've never seen Peeping Tom, but it's from...
Is that an Alfred Hitchcock movie? Or
No.
Okay.
So Peeping Tom was actually the first horror movie or slasher movie to do the POV shot.
Okay.
Right? And then they did it in Black Christmas. They did a fucking great job with it in Black Christmas.
So good.
And then 4 years after that, they went off and they did it in Halloween, and just John Carpenter perfected it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole POV thing when it comes to those movies.
Real quick, before we really start gushing over and highlighting some of our favorite moments.
Yeah.
Nick and I had the pleasure of seeing this on 35 millimeter at our boy Ray's Alamo Draft House in Yonkers, where he manages.
Yep.
And so Joe Bob Briggs hosted the screening, and man, what a fucking experience to see that.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was a sold out show because, of course, Joe Bob brings the crowd, man. This is the resurgence over the last few years.
Hell yeah. That was 2018.
Yeah, 2018, yep. And man, dude, what an experience that was. I'm so grateful that we got to see the film the way it was intended to be seen.
Yeah. No, same, man. I think about that all the time.
Just wanted to...
It's a great theater experience, man. Yeah. I gotta say, Alamo Draft House, that's a fucking great chain of fucking theaters, man.
I love everything that they do. Of them. Because one of my biggest pet peeves, and this happens a lot when I go see movies, is people don't shut the fuck up, or they're on their fucking phones.
You don't play that there.
No. You talk, you're on your phone, you get fucking booted out.
Yeah.
That is a place for cinephiles, movie lovers. If you want the full experience, going to an Alamo Draft House is where it's at.
You can rest your weary head that going to an Alamo Draft House, you'll be able to get the greatest fucking viewing experience of a movie. Yeah, you don't have to deal with the bullshit. They'll eject you. I mean, even better, like you get food while you're sitting there too, which is fucking great.
Good food too,
great
man.
Food, yeah,
great food.
But yeah, dude, the Joe Bob Briggs, the night that we had went to go see that was just fucking. It was so awesome, man.
So great.
And that just like, and I had seen the movie good amount of times prior to that.
Yeah.
But then after that, man, it just brought it fucking just like way higher for me.
I think the first time I saw Black Christmas was like 2011. And then I had gotten it on DVD shortly after for Christmas. And then I got it on Blu-ray. And then I eventually got this edition.
It's the only one I ever owned.
Yeah, I've had like multiple copies and I was obsessed with it. Like at one point I think I had like championed it more than Halloween at times. Like I was so like obsessed with like trying to find out who the actor was that played the killer, which is not credited or named. So it makes it even creepier.
Bob Clark says his name in one of the interviews. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, did he?
Though. Yeah, he said his name.
But like you just try to make the killer out and it's just so hard. And then
you're really trying to, put the pieces to the puzzle together.
I was, man. It was just such a...
Not being able to see his face ever is just fucking really scary.
And then we watch it on your big ass... How big's your TV?
65.
A 65-inch 4K TV with the sound bar and all that shit. And it just looks so clear.
And I mean, that's a 2K scan that's off of this copy, right?
Yeah.
So it's upscaled. It's like you do see a lot more. Like you see his face, not very clear,
but the best you're ever gonna see it.
Right.
And then that one scene where the iconic scene where he's killing Barb with the glass unicorn.
Yeah, it's right there. That scene right there.
That scene right here. You could see a bit of the reflection of his face in the glass unicorn, and I never caught that until we watched it last night on your TV, and I was like you see like I'm like. Holy shit, dude.
No, it was
I
really
got fucking goosebumps talking about it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, fuck, dude. It's just so effective,
That's
man.
what's so cool about these restorations of these old films, man. Like, these filmmakers, like, they have their ideas and all this cool shit, like, when they go into filming it, man. I mean, I don't know if this necessarily happens anymore, but it's like when it comes to, like, film and, like, preservation, like, that stuff goes bad after a long time. Like, it gets the vinegar syndrome, as it's called. When it's like deteriorating and it's not kept well or anything like that. Like I even think like the print that we had seen at Alamo Drafthouse, like it wasn't a perfect print.
Yeah, it had some like rough,
Yeah, it was rough. Like it like went red for like a second, or like blue for like a second. But yeah, no, when they can get a good print and then they bring that shit back, upscale it, touch it up, whatever they have to do. Just like the little details that the director had wanted to like put in, man. Just you really get to see
them the way it's intended to be seen.
Yeah. And you're like, that's creative.
Yeah.
Like I just like just seeing his face for like a split second in a reflection. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's really cool. And another transfer would have been all muddied and shit, and you would have just been like, it would have just slipped by you. But like, that's a good detail.
Yeah.
See some good details, man.
And going back to that scene, man, you've got these carolers singing. Two of our main characters are watching the carolers, whereas Margot Kidder's character is just getting impaled to death over this beautifully sound music.
That contrast is really good.
So good.
I think even Bob Clark talks about wanting to have that contrast in it, where it's like these wholesome family elements, and then you also get like these gruesome, violent like God-forsaken acts that are happening as well, and you're just like throwing them together. It's scary.
It's scary, and it's cool because we really start to see the seeds that would be sown for like A Christmas Story or Porky's. Like there's a lot of humor in here that you would later see in Porky's.
Yeah.
Like, as dark and as unsettling this movie, it's also fucking funny as shit. Like Barb's dialogue with the one cop Nash, and then you've got our man John Saxon, the
John
fucking
Saxon's
legend, rest in peace. Just like his little fucking banter with like some of his, just the other officers and shit. Like you would later see that humor in Porky's and shit like that.
It's cool though when you can see that transfer over into a director's filmography, and especially because like his trajectory as far as like where he went in his filmmaking career to where he started, It's crazy that like those little elements were still there.
Yeah.
He still was like, I had to put them in there. I love that. I respect that. I love some good comedy and some good horror, man.
Yeah,
you know, as long as it's done right.
If it does, exactly. I just shouldn't say it always works, but if it's done right, it's so fucking.
And Bob
good.
Clark did it, man.
And
you know,
he did
it's
it right.
subtle, and it really added to the characters. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that it necessarily like alleviated any of the tension in it. Like you never lose the tension. You know, as soon. All right, so when we're talking about the tension in the film, I had mentioned to you last night, it doesn't fucking waste any time getting into the movie.
No, it gets right into it. So
the movie just kicks off, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've got the shot of like someone entering the sorority house for the holiday party. You know, it's the big party before everyone goes away for winter break.
Yeah.
And then we've got the shot of the killer, and he's making his way up.
Climbs the lattice.
Is that what it's called?
It's like a lattice, yeah.
Up into the attic.
Yeah. Yeah,
finds his whole party going downstairs. He makes the first initial call. The moaner, as Olivia Hussey's character, which star-studded cast.
Had a great cast. Yeah.
Great cast. A lot of the cast would go on to be in other Bob Clark films or other Canadian horror films. You know, we've got Claire again in her room, right? And there's like the sound of the cat, and instead of it like in the remake where it's Agnes under the bed, it's the killer watching her from, you know, those bags that you like you put dresses in, those like
like what you'd get from a dry cleaner.
Yeah, exactly. Those like dry cleaner
bags.
There's
like a couple of them,
and he's like watching her.
Yeah,
and then at
only
one
see
point,
his shadow.
Yeah, and then at one point, again, attest to your TV and the great new restoration of this, you could kind of see a face like in the bag, like watching Claire.
Yeah,
and I had not noticed that face until we watched it last night. And just the score of like the piano strings or whatever, I'm assuming is what they use to make like those dreadful like kind of sounds. Yeah. Of him just like watching Claire, like, oh man, and then she goes closer, and then he like leaps out with the fucking bag, and you know,
it's a scary scene, man.
Dude, and he's just like taking this body up to the attic, and there's this whole party going on that no one knows about.
Yeah. Man, nobody knows what the fuck is
going on.
No one knows,
man. And there's multiple times where he is watching them from like the top of the stairs. It's just so unsettling knowing that he's there watching them and they have no idea.
I'm glad that you had brought that up, man, because like I think one of the most effective things about this movie was like how he toyed with them. You know, how he like lurked in the shadows, man. Like it's a very scary movie, in my opinion. It's a very scary movie.
I would say this is my top 5 scariest films I've ever seen. Yeah. To this day,
there's a killer in the fucking house. You know, nobody knows he's in the house. He's picking off all these, you know, sorority girls, you know, one by one. Another thing that's fucked up with it was the cops are looking for a missing girl, like in the area.
Yeah.
And they one of the things that gets everybody out of the house at one point was they go and they join a search party for this young girl.
Yeah, because they think it's going to be connected to Claire, who's now missing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like the next day. Yeah. So they do this whole search party.
Yeah. And then ultimately, like, they find, you know, this young girl killed. We don't see it, you know, thankfully, but it's just like based off of like the reactions of the actors during that scene, you can tell that something very horrific had happened to her.
Yeah. It's like, a good example, real quick, of like what you don't see that's just so effective, because the way the actors play it is like
they
theater of the mind, you know? Like you said, theater of the mind lets you play to your imagination.
Dude, you can create something so much more horrifying in your own head than like somebody could ever fucking put on
like
on,
in my
on,
head,
on
dude.
Film.
If I had to like project my thoughts, I'm saying she's fucking completely dismembered in that park.
Yeah, I can't even
just the way
that
they fucking react, like as if it's the most horrific thing they've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, I turned to you because like it didn't hit me at the time, but I was like, do you think like that was Billy on his way to the sorority house? It was just like one-off fucking random killing that he did? Think?
I'm 100% convinced.
Has to be. It's too much.
That was on his way. He killed that little girl in the park on his way to the sorority house.
Yeah, spooky. Very unsettling.
Very unsettling, yeah. You know, again, just him lurking in the shadows, toying, making the obscene phone calls, which I'll say compared to the remake, the phone calls in this are so much more unsettling because if you pay attention, I know it's hard because there's multiple voices, but if you start paying attention to like what is being said, we get this like story of Billy, which you know they would use for the character in the remake. We're getting this like these monologues of like this dude Billy doing this horrendous acts to some character named Agnes, which they keep saying like, "What did you do with the baby, filthy Billy?" And when you start putting it together,
and he's doing the voices of like he's like
reenacting what he's
he's like reenacting what they were all like, what his, let's say maybe his mother was saying or his father was saying, and it's like, "Where's Agnes? You left him with Billy?" You know, and then it's like, "Oh, bad Billy."
Filthy Billy.
You know, and then you hear like the baby screaming and crying, and then it's like
God.
like you even said it, man. You were like, "Billy did some really bad things, man." And I'm like, what do you mean? And you're like, listen to like what he's saying, and you were saying that like he's reliving it, right?
He's reliving it, and he's sharing it with these girls because it's, and you know, I think he's getting off to the fact that it's so obscene.
Yeah.
What he's saying, he's getting that reaction because the girls are repulsed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go into detail with some of the things he says, but man, and you wouldn't expect it for a film to come out in 1974 to like say some of the shit that Billy, I'm going to just say his name's Billy. Even though it's not identified.
Oh, he's Billy.
It's Billy.
Yeah.
You know. It's me, Billy. Agnes, it's me, Billy. You know, like, oh my fucking God. Like, you already know, like, what the fuck Billy has done.
Yeah. He's a bad man.
They don't have to really spell it out. If you put it together, it's fucking horrible. And it just makes it, like, that much scarier. Especially with, like, how insane and all, like, the changes of pitches and tones and the wailing. I mean, it's just such an unhinged character. Like, even when there's moments where after a kill, like, for example, the house mother, right? She hears the cat. Like in the remake where it's the sorority sister that discovers Claire, it's the house mother that discovers Claire. And we see like Claire in the window and the bags over her head in the rocking chair. Right. And Billy lets the line go with the fucking hook. But after he kills the house mother, he goes on like some rampage. And then just starts like almost like coddling a child or rocking himself. He's like rocking Claire.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
dude, like
insane, dude.
Like this fucking killer in this movie, man, just how fucking mentally disturbed he is. It is just like, it blows my fucking mind, honestly. It's
so unsettling.
It
dude.
is.
And it what's so scary about it is like someone like that could totally, how reality based this movie is just what's so scary about it. Like, this could totally happen. This probably may have happened. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Most like urban legends and shit are stem from something.
Some reality.
And this, you know, plays on the urban legend of, you know, someone in the house. The calls coming from the house.
Yeah.
Which is like the scariest reveal.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that, but once the characters, like Olivia Hussey's character, gets to know it, it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, that's what they didn't do that in the remake.
Yeah.
You know, in the original, there comes a point in time where the calls become so obscene that they contact the police about it. You know, and then like John Saxon gets like super fucking pissed off because not only were the obscene phone calls reported, but Claire's father had went and reported his daughter missing. And then you got this stupid fucking cop at the front desk. Yeah. And he's like, and John Saxon's like, "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't, want to bother you with it." And he's like, "Really?" He's like, "We have a dead girl in the park. We have a sorority house getting obscene phone calls. And we have a sorority sister missing. And you don't think that that's like good to fucking tell me?"
Yep.
Right? So he was pissed about it. And then, I mean, that's when John Saxon kind of like gets his call to action. And he's like, "All right, like we got to figure out what the fuck is going on with this. So we're going to start tracing the calls in the home."
Oh, and they do it so well. And it's just like, I'm a big John Saxon fan, like, you know, Enter the Dragon, and he was in quite some Italian horrors, and he was in Dario Argento's Tenebrae. You know, he's just a class guy, and just him as the head lieutenant, you know, just investigating. It's just so good. It's so fucking good. It's so well done. And then when we get that moment where Nash, the incompetent fucking cop.
Well, before that, they're tracing the phone calls, right? So like every so often, the sorority house will get a phone call, and it'll be Billy, and you know he'll be going on his whole fucking thing, and you know she can't keep him on the phone long enough, you know. So that goes on for a little bit, and then they get it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you know the guy who's taking care of the tapping of the lines calls John Saxon, and he's like, all right, we got it. You know, it's coming from blah, 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 blah. And it's the address of the sorority house. And John Saxon's like, he's like, no, you idiot. Like, that's where the calls are coming out of. It's not where the calls are going in. He's like, no, though the calls are also coming from inside the house. Yeah. And, dude, it gives me chills. Like, I saying that the call's coming from in the house, you know? Right? Man. So John Saxon again leaves it up to this stupid fucking cop, right? To kind of like, low-key relay this message. He's like, call the sorority house. He's like, and tell them exactly this. You know, are you alone in the house? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to need you to put the phone down, walk out of the house, and don't look back. Not verbatim, but that's exactly what happens. So don't say anything about the calls coming from inside the house. That's very important, you know? He doesn't say that either, but it is important, you know? So he calls up, and then, you know, he pretty much says that. He's like, hey, don't ask any questions, leave. And she's like, but why? And she's not listening to him. She's like, oh, well, my sisters are upstairs, or this and that. And that's like, that's a real thing that you would deal with.
Little does she know that her two sisters have already been murdered.
Yeah, everybody's been killed. You know,
and she's the only one left.
Yeah. So Buddy fucking lets the cat out of the bag out of frustration, and he tells her, line. Yeah, and he tells her, he's like, leave now. You know, the killer is inside the house.
The calls are coming from inside the house, and then it cues in that scary music, that piano music string.
It makes my hair stand.
And then
about that scene.
It does that shot up to the upstairs.
Yeah, and you just see like a hallway, dude. And just us as just people think about that, you know, like think about that, like you had just gotten the call that these obscene phone calls are coming from inside the house, therefore the only thing is like that person is up there.
Yeah. And then like even before that, you know, when they're talking about like trying to trace the calls before, you'd picked it up. I've known about it, but you'd finally picked it up. There's like a shadow of someone like moving in the background when it's like Phyllis and
before Phyllis goes up to check on before
Jess, I think her name is.
So Olivia Hussey, and her name's Andrea. Oh God. So I'm gonna say
we'll just say Phyllis.
Yeah. So Phyllis,
who was the house mother in the remake.
So they're on the phone with the police, and you know like the way that the shot was set up is like you can see the shadow in the background. It's so scary. Yeah. You know, man, it's just like he's just always there.
He's just always there watching. And because we haven't touched upon this, but Jess is pregnant and her boyfriend Peter wants her to have the baby, and she's like, no, I want an abortion. Like, I'm young, I want to live my life. You should live yours. And he's like trying to be really controlling, and he's starting to act unhinged, and you almost think like he's the killer, and they want you to believe that.
They did a good job at faking you out big time.
Yeah, he's the red herring.
Yeah.
And then you almost think it's him, but then like Jess is like, no, it couldn't be, because like he was down with me like right before I got the call. Like,
he had an alibi.
Yeah. When Peter and Jess are having this conflict about, you know, keeping the baby, he says the line, you treat it like it's having a wart removed. Mm-hmm. And then Billy says over the phone, like, having a wart removed. And she's like, oh my God, like, how did
she's like, oh my God. But then John Saxon's also listening on the other end, and he can hear that, like, her whole demeanor had changed when she had heard that being said. And he's like, well, what does that mean to you? I need to know all this information. You know, and that's a good thing to know as well. And that's when he had asked the questions about the boyfriend Peter. Yeah. You know, can you account for him? Like, has he been around you during any of these phone calls and shit like that? And she's like, yeah, it can't be him. It's like, oh, okay. and they kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's just like,
let
so
him
you
off
think
the
like,
hook.
oh yeah, rule that one out.
Yeah, they rule him out.
So after she discovers, right, Jess discovers that the calls are coming from inside the house. She does the dumb horror movie trope where it's like, don't go up there. She goes up there, right? She opens Barb's door. Now, we didn't mention, but Phyllis, she goes to check in on Barb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all we see is like Phyllis look over and the door slams. So it's like, all right, Billy got her.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jess goes up and she's like screaming for Barb and Phyllis to answer her because she wants to get them out. She don't want to abandon them.
Yeah.
She goes up, she opens the door, and there's their 2 dead bodies laying there. And then we get what I think is one of the most scariest scenes in horror movie history. She turns over and she hears a noise, and there is just a shot of Billy's eye.
Yeah.
Wide as fuck.
Yeah, in the crack
Just
of the door.
in the crack of the door, just staring at her. Because that was... So when Barb... right before she died, Billy tried to, like, move in on her.
Mm-hmm.
But she, like, woke up and had an asthma attack.
Mm-hmm.
He was hiding behind that door, and while Jess was getting the inhaler for Barb, that's how he slips out.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the same thing.
Yeah, he's a sneaky fuck.
He's so fucking sneaky. But yeah, so when Jess looks over and that fucking eye is staring at her, dude, that image is burned in my fucking brain forever. Yeah. I think it is one of the most scariest images in horror movie history for me. It's just so unsettling. And then she goes and runs for it, and Billy like chases after her, and we get these little quick glimpses of him like trailing on her, and he like tries to grab her from behind her hair around the stairs, and it's just like she barricades herself in the basement, and he is just screaming and wailing like a fucking maniac trying to like break in the door, and it's just fucking insane. And like, you know, Jess is in the basement, she's got herself barricaded, and then who shows up at the window?
Yeah, all the chaos stops.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Yeah, and she's in the basement, and then like you kind of hear like a little voice, you know, from like outside, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then, you know, you start seeing a shadow walking around the house, and you're like, oh fuck, like he's out of the house now, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's like calling her name, and then like he goes over by one of the windows, and then we see the face, and we see that it's actually Peter, her boyfriend, coming back to the house, and knows that she's in there. They do a really good job at like throwing off the audience as to like making you think like, hey, maybe it actually is this guy, you know? Or if it's not him as Billy, like he might be, because he's dealing with, you know, the whole baby aspect, you know, he might not be in his right state of mind, you know? So like, you don't know.
Well, he acts very unhinged, so
A little bit.
Yeah. Not as much as Billy, but you know, it's enough to where you believe.
Right.
And yeah, so he comes down, he's like, Jess, what's wrong? And she thinks it's him now.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, it is you.
Yeah.
And we just get this scream, and then the cops, they make it there, and they break into the basement, and she's just got his body. She's like not really that conscious, but you could tell like there was a fight, a struggle, and Jess killed him with a fire poker.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And
Peter's dead.
She's in complete shock. They got her laying down. Poor Claire's dad, they got him in the room with her. They're trying to just like pretty much make sense of everything that went down, and they're like, okay, like, you know, it was that kid, it was Peter. And then Claire's boyfriend, I was like, I gotta go call like some of the other sorority sisters' boyfriends and like let them know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then just like all this stress of the situation causes Claire's father to go into like a state of shock.
Faints. So like, we gotta get him to the hospital.
Yeah. And
so
they leave Claire home.
Oh, they leave Jess home.
Or, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
They end up leaving Jess home. You know, she's sedated in the bed, and even like the doctor says something along the lines of like she's gonna be out for like a very long time. You know, she's like super traumatized, you know, by all of this shit. And then the dad, Claire's dad, ends up, you know, going into a state of shock. They take him. I don't know why they didn't bring her to a hospital either.
I don't know either.
You know?
Because they're all clearing out. The news reporters are there.
Yeah.
They're trying to clear the scene, get the, you know, the autopsy people to collect the bodies, this and that. Or they already did.
No.
Well, because
it's all still in the attic.
Well, no, but Barb and Phyllis's bodies, remember there's the shot? Let me get to it. So they're trying to clear out the scene. They're waiting for the autopsy people, but because Claire's dad faints, they just rush out of there, right? Jess is there. They tell like one cop to stand by and just keep a watch on the house.
Yeah.
And the house gets all quiet, and then we get the shots of the sorority room. So we've got Claire's empty room, then we got Barb's room that is empty with the bloodstains on the bed from Phyllis and Barb's body, and then we get Jess laying there, and then it pans up to the attic where Billy has been hiding the whole time.
We hear him laughing,
and you hear him laughing, and he's up there, and there's that unsettling piano chord string music playing. And it goes up there, and there's Claire's dead body just rocking, and Billy's like he's almost like singing a lullaby. And then we get this outdoor shot of like the house, and it's all quiet, and we see Claire's face under the candlelight.
Yeah, and she's it's like her like that part, right? It's like the iconic Black Christmas. You know, it's Claire with a plastic bag over her head.
Yeah, it's the poster.
And it's all, and it's like sucked in, you know, from her, you know, struggling for air. And she's in the rocking chair and her head's like tilted away and she's like looking out the window. And then like it just like pulls out, you know, but it's just quiet. No music.
Quiet.
Just
you
pulls
hear
out.
like the winter wind.
Yeah, like the howling of the wind and everything like that.
Right before the credits start to roll, the phone rings.
Yep.
And I'm led to believe that, like, that's the last call he's making before he goes down and kills Jess. Because that cop don't know.
Yeah. And it just, like, once it pulls out and once the shot, you know, pulls out like that, and it just stays, you know, constant, and then the phone starts to ring, you know, and just keeps on ringing and ringing and ringing, and we're fixed in that place looking at the house, man, and then the credits roll. And it's still going on, and you're just like...
If you're the cop, wouldn't you think to answer the phone since that was, like, part of the main issue?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, not only that, but like,
not for nothing, isn't it Nash that's out there, like, standing guard?
I wouldn't have let him stand guard.
I would have fired him.
I would have fired him.
Moron.
Yeah, he would have been canned, for sure. He would have been canned before he had dropped the ball on
not
Killer
putting
being in the
all
house.
the things together.
Yeah, I would have fired him there. I would have been like, you're a horrible fucking cop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, even if you are working the front desk, that's an important position, man. You know?
So, yeah, the movie, like, fades the credits with the phone still ringing, and then the subtle silent night. Man.
And that's it, man. And it's a great fucking movie.
What a fucking masterpiece, dude. Like, an absolute classic. It sucks that Bob chose not to, like, continue on with horror. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Porky's.
Yeah.
I love A Christmas Story. But before he passed, if he would have just circled back to a few more,
right,
what we could have gotten.
Yeah, no, it would have been great because he was really good at it.
Yeah. Dude, he
was good at horror, man.
He was great. Like, every one of his horror films I love. And this one...
Well, this is the only one that I've seen of Bob Clark.
Well, we need to venture into the other ones, because I do have Deranged.
It was a good movie.
I have Deranged. I have a DVD copy of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, but the new 50th anniversary 4K UHD just dropped. I will be picking that up, because Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is a great zombie movie. And then I do have Death Dream. Blue Underground put that out. I have the Blu-ray of that. So we will definitely be... We're going to dive in, man, to some of Bob Clark's...
Dude, I like Bob Clark, man.
Dude, what a fucking guy.
Like
what a
Clark.
fucking director.
I just wanted to fucking throw it out there real quick as like a little fun fact to this movie. Apparently, the legend goes that this is Elvis Presley's favorite horror movie.
That's cool.
And he would watch it every Christmas.
I fuck with that.
And apparently his...
Shout out to the king.
Yeah, shout out to the king. And apparently his family still honors the tradition.
That's so fucking cool. I hope that's all...
I hope it's true.
I'm not doubting you, but like, if that's all legit, man, that's fucking awesome.
But like, that's the cool thing about this fucking movie, man, is the things we don't really know about it. You know, like I love like those little things, like how it's Halloween is like the unofficial sequel. Yeah. Right? Like, I think that's really cool. Yeah. We have Bob Clark's version of the story, and then we have John Carpenter's version of the story. You know, Bob Clark painted the picture perfectly that his idea for the sequel for Black Christmas would literally be Halloween.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
So,
especially like him dropping that like nugget on us when we watched that interview.
Yeah, but not only that, man, is like you can see the parallels. Like look at the ending of Black Christmas and then look at the ending of Halloween.
The shots of the house,
right?
Yep. The empty rooms, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't know where Michael is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a stalker. You know, he's an intruder, just like Billy.
Yep.
You know, but I mean, it was different, and I mean, Halloween's my favorite, or our favorite movie,
man.
But we can see the parallels now.
Yeah.
That like, so I find that to be so fucking fascinating, man. And I mean, this movie was also said to be like one of the first slashers ever as well, which is also really cool.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like a lot of history with Black Christmas, and with that history also comes a fucking great movie.
Yeah.
A very fucking scary movie, man. Very scary.
I would say like this, The Exorcist, the original Halloween, Amityville 2, like those are like the top scariest movies of all time for me. And this might be, as much as Halloween is my favorite, man, I might find this one fucking more scary than Halloween.
Black Christmas is definitely scarier than Halloween.
You know, like, don't get me wrong, like, Michael Myers itself is scary, and so is the White Mask, but I don't know, man. Just those shots of Billy, shadow in the shadows lurking, is just, and how unhinged he is, man. It's just, that extra layer. Nick, I mean, we gushed over this, man. What do you say, dude? You ready to rate this? Is there any final things you want to...
Dude, there's nothing left that I want to really say about the movie. Yeah, let's get into this rating, man. What do you give it?
All right, man. This is a 10 out of 10. This is a perfect horror movie. This is a perfect slasher. This is, without a doubt, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and it's still to this day. Like it says, if your skin, what does it say? If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, then it's on too tight.
Yeah. So the tagline for this flick, and it's amazing, if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Dude.
Boom. Drop the mic.
Exactly. This movie makes my fucking skin crawl. This movie is so unsettling and scary and so effective. And someone, you know, I'm a fucking gore hound.
Yeah.
But what you don't see...
Yeah,
in this case is scarier.
I agree, 100%.
10 out of 10. I have to watch it every December. Normally I kind of save it for like last, so I do a mix of like Christmas classics mixed with Christmas horror. And I always, on the Christmas horror side, I try to save this one for last. Right. But for the sake of the episode, we started out with the best one.
Yeah. No, yeah, I 100% agree, man. I agree with every single point. Every single point. I don't rate it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I rate it a 9.5 out of 10.
All right, fair enough.
Right? The only reason why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me, honestly, no snowstorm.
Okay.
That's it. If the fucking snowstorm was in it, and you would have had that trapped feeling, like you do feel trapped in that house.
Yeah.
You know, but if you had that extra element of the outside force being the snowstorm, like, it would have been the perfect Christmas horror movie. It is the perfect Christmas horror movie. Yeah. But it would have been rated a 10 out of 10 for me. So the only reason why Black Christmas is not a 10 out of 10 for me is because there's no snowstorm.
But man, do you know how cold it is? Like when they're doing that search party, you could see their breath. And then Bob Clark was saying it would be like 5 to 10 degrees because this is a Canadian film. Yeah. It was shot up in Toronto. Like, and
it's like Canadian 30 degrees out here right now, and it's like we're all bundled up and we're like, this is fucking horrible. Just think about filming a movie there.
Exactly. When it's 5 and 10 degrees, not including wind chill. So it was probably like felt like the negatives.
Dude, it looked like they might have been getting some lake effect too.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because like when they were doing the search party, right? They were like right by a lake.
Yeah, Toronto's. Yeah, it's right by a lake. Yeah, one of the Great Lakes. Yeah.
So there you go, man. So dude, that'd be a cold night.
Speaking of Great Lakes, our poor brother Grizz, a few weeks ago, fucking iconic snowstorm buried most of Western New York and Buffalo. Just seeing the pictures of that, you know, what a fucking disaster.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been that far north.
I have. I've been up to the border, and I've seen like from plows, like snow, no bullshit, being like taller than me.
Never seen it.
It's insane. But not to that, nothing. But it's nowhere near as to what like Buffalo and the Western New York got hit with this last snowstorm.
Yeah. But yeah, dude. Overall, fucking, I'm so happy with these two.
Yeah.
I told you how hyped I was to be able to talk about them. Must watches for me every single year. You know, so yeah, dude. Fucking great picks.
For sure. Yeah, this, Dial Code Santa, Jack Frost, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Don't open till Christmas. I have to pick up that new Vinegar Syndrome release. I'll get it. Probably not in time for the holidays, but next year I'll definitely watch that new Vinegar Syndrome scan. But I have the Mondo Macabre DVD released with a nice red case and the original poster art. So
there you go.
I'm gonna still watch it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit,
peppered in with, you know, like the classics like Christmas Story.
Yeah.
I want to check out the new Christmas Story sequel. I heard great things about it.
I gotta check it out.
Fucking, what is it? Bill Murray, fucking, A Christmas Carol. That's a must watch every year.
Scrooge?
Scrooge, yes. Yeah, Scrooge. There you go. That was one of my dad's favorites. So, like, Scrooge.
Scrooge is good.
Scrooge is great, man, and like, you know, the Rankin Bass claymation classics.
Yeah, I mean, those are timeless.
I always try to pepper those in. You know, like, I'll do like a Christmas horror and then I'll follow it up with a classic, or go vice versa.
I watch more classics, honestly, throughout the Christmas
Home Alones,
season, man. Yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
It's the time of the year, man, and like, again, everyone thinks, like, that knows me personally thinks I fucking hate Christmas. It's like, no. Once Thanksgiving's over, I'm like, I'm all, bring on the holiday cheer, bring on the fucking man. Classics, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, dude, so with that being said, man, I think it's time to wrap up this episode, dude.
Put a nice bow on it.
Yeah.
Stick it under the tree.
Yep. Put Billy's name on it.
Yeah, to Billy.
Yeah, to Billy. Let's wrap it up.
Is it to Billy or from Billy?
It's to Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, with that being said, if you like what you've been watching and or listening to, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. You can find us at Dead With My Friends Podcast on Instagram, and we hope you all have a happy holiday.
Have a happy holiday. Peace.
Out.